So you want to get into My Little Pony, but it's a pretty big franchise, spanning 9 seasons, a bunch of comics, chapter books, spin-offs, comic books, and chapter books for those spin-offs. It really makes you wonder, how much would it actually cost you to consume the entire franchise? For this, let's figure out what we're actually counting as important enough to count as a full story first. Obviously the main series, the 2017 movie, the Equestria Girls movies and specials, the chapter books, and the main series comics. The reason I'm only counting the main series comics is because I have just a slight sneaking suspicion that the other miscellaneous comics, like the one where they meet Transformers, isn't exactly essential to understand the rest of the series. And just as a disclaimer, the point of this video isn't to put a price tag on being a fan of My Little Pony. If you enjoy the show or whatever, then you're a fan of My Little Pony. There's no price tag on being a fan of anything. This is just for entertainment purposes only and to see how high this number can really get. Anyways, for the actual series, the 9 seasons, I thought the most efficient way would have just been to buy DVDs. Perhaps a complete full collection if that existed, but that appears to not exist. Not to mention the bigger issue, good luck trying to track down all these earlier season DVDs nowadays. So I think the next best thing would have been to just get the episodes from these volume packs on iTunes. For some reason they're separated as volumes rather than seasons, which is going to end up costing us more because there's 17 of them instead of just 9 seasons. But anyways, volumes 1 to 11 are $9.99 and volumes 12 to 17 are $14.99. I should have mentioned this is the average US dollar price, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, this means that in total, if you want to own every episode of the show on iTunes, you'll have to fork over $199.83. Next up, for Equestria Girls, it gives you the option to either rent it for a smaller price or buy it at full price. But let's say you want to actually own the movie, so we'll go with a bigger price. Equestria Girls is $9.99, Rainbow Rocks is $7.99, Legend of Everfree is $9.99. Notice how we skipped over Friendship Games? Yeah, for some reason I can't seem to find it on iTunes, but I really did try to look for it. However, judging from the prices from other online retailers, we'll just count it as $9.99 like 3 of the other movies. Which, on a side note, I'm not sure why Rainbow Rocks is $2 cheaper than the others when it's clearly the best of the 4 movies. Anyways, for the Equestria Girls movies, we're tacking on $37.96. Then we have the Equestria Girls specials, which I don't think were ever physically sold, so I don't really know how to calculate this. However, the way I first discovered that Equestria Girls even had specials was from the Tales of Canterlot High collection on Netflix. So I would just add the average price of a Netflix subscription here, but it appears as if the whole thing was removed from Netflix. Now, what's odd is that according to this website, supposedly these specials are available in the Pakistani version of Netflix. So I booted up my VPN, not sponsored, and tried looking for the Pakistan internet to test it, but it appears as if this VPN does not have Pakistan, so I guess that's kind of a bust. Luckily, these specials and the shorts are mostly all available on YouTube on their official channel, so I guess we don't really have to tack on any additional prices to that, unless if you want to get technical and want to add the price of the internet and a device to watch these on. But if you're watching this right now, I have a slight feeling that's not going to be an issue for you. Next up, the books. Don't worry, I'm not counting those easy reading books for 2-year-olds, nor am I counting random coloring books. I'm just counting chapter books with actual stories to them. Now, let me tell you, this part was actually pretty hard to track down exact prices for because we're talking about books from like 12 to 3 years ago at this point. It was pretty difficult to get down their exact prices, especially because there weren't any consistent, reliable ways to get the prices like I did with the seasons and movies on iTunes. Well, whatever. There are 10 in the main series: Twilight Sparkle and the Crystal Heart Spell, Pinkie Pie and the Rockin' Pony Palooza Party, Rainbow Dash and the Daring Do Double Dare, Rarity and the Curious Case of Charity, Applejack and the Honest to Goodness Switcheroo, Fluttershy and the Fine Furry Friends Fair, Discord and the Ponyville Players Drama-Rama, Lyra and Bonbon and the Mares from SMILE, Starlight Glimmer and the Secret Suite, Trixie and the Razzle Dazzle Ruse. You don't want to know how many takes it took to get all that. Luckily, I found a box set that comes with 8 books, but what's odd is that one of these 8 books are from a different collection, the Princess Collection, which consists of Princess Celestia and the Summer of Royal Waves, Princess Luna and the Festival of the Winter Moon, Princess Cadence and the Spring Heart's Garden, and Princess Twilight Sparkle and the Forgotten Books of Autumn. Anyways, if you get this box set, that'll just leave us with these 6 books, and also the box set costs $99.17. Now, with the leftover books, if you're willing to get them used, which let's face it, that's probably the only way you'll ever get your hands on these nowadays if you don't have them already, they all average at about $4.70. Then we have the Equestria Girls books, which the price range was really crazy, so just for my sanity, I think it's safe to say that the average price is about $7, and there's 13 of them, which leads us to having to add up $91 more. So with the chapter books out of the way, we have the comics, and I was really dreading this one. It would have been next to impossible for me to go through every single comic that was ever released and find out how much they're worth. So what I did was, thanks to this website, I was able to get the average, which is apparently $6.91. There are 102 issues in the regular Friendship is Magic series, which will dig you into a hole the size of $704.82. This is not including different cover variants, because I'm not sure if there's even enough money in the world to have all of that as well. And finally, there's an additional $9.99 for the 2017 movie, which I actually almost forgot existed when I was looking into this. So counting all of that, we end up with the grand total of $1,170.97. But here's some good news. There's no way you'll actually have to spend that much to consume the entire series. First of all, pretty much every single episode of the show is up on YouTube for free, and so are the Equestria Girls movies and specials. As for the books, they're also pretty much technically all available for free since libraries exist. Of course, it might be next to impossible to track down every single novel and comic down at your local library, but theoretically, they should all be available at some library, right? The only thing you would really need to pay for would be the 2017 movie, but even that you could technically watch for free if you know where to look, so that kind of knocks the price down to $0. How anticlimactic.